something on batteries, but you had some knowledge. I hope you are adding something more on that. Yes, you'll go ahead. Okay.
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir, in nickel metal hydride battery, we have cathode reaction of NiOOH plus H2O plus an electron gives NiOH2 plus
Why?
OH
Yes,
minus, sir.
yes,
Sir,
yes.
in this, in the left side, we have NiOH plus H2O, sir. For finding the capacity, we have to use the molar mass, sir. So we
Yes,
have
which
to add the molar mass of water or only NiOOH, sir.
NaOH.
So we don't.
NaOH.
So what about, sir? Water H2O we are.
So maybe you can with water and without water also you can try. But we are talking about electrode, right?
Yes, sir.
We are talking about theoretical capacity of an electrode. So it is nickel oxyhydroxide only. Okay,
Okay,
nickel
sir. Okay, sir.
oxyhydroxide only. You take the mass of the nickel oxyhydroxide. Yeah, you are correct. NiOH plus H2O giving rise to nickel hydroxide plus electron. So you take only the mass of the hydroxide, oxyhydroxide. So when we see in the zinc air battery, I think it will clarify better. So zinc air batteries. So including oxygen, excluding oxygen. Why we need not include oxygen? Why we should include oxygen? That time you will know. Similar to that. So here water is coming from the electrolyte. That's not the part of the electrode. So you don't need to take the mass of the water. When you want to take the capacity of the battery, then you take both, all. So we are talking about electrode capacity. So you take only the mass of the nickel oxyhydroxide. Good point. Arunachaleswarar?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? We'll go ahead. So the theoretical capacity of a battery or an electrode is the quantity of electricity involved in the electrochemical reaction. So it can be given or can be taken or estimated using this standard formula. Theoretical capacity C is equal to N into 26.8 divided by mass or W, M or W. You should be remembering this equation anytime. So for any given electrode, whether anode or cathode, it is possible to estimate what is its theoretical capacity. So last class we have estimated for lead dioxide, and maybe nickel oxyhydroxide. So maybe let us spend one or two more electrodes to estimate their theoretical capacity. Which one you want to take from these cathodes, which are cathodes for lithium ion batteries? Which electrode you want to take? Name one. Similar way. Or we will skip this estimation, Are you familiar with that? If you are given any electrode, is it possible to estimate the theoretical capacity? All of you are well versed.
Yes.
If not, please try one or two electrodes. Either you take lithium cobalt oxide, lithium nickel oxide, LiMn2O4 or LiFePO4. All informations are here. You want to do or we will skip? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One or two electrodes you please take and estimate. Or if anybody has done it already, you can share. You can inform.
Lit-
One of you please take complicated one, LiMn2O4. You need to know how many electrons are involved in the reaction. What is the molecular mass? This is a kind of compound. This is a kind, not kind of, it's a compound. It's not like lithium metal or manganese metal or oxygen atom. Okay, it's a compound. It's you have to take the molecular mass. You need to take the mass of lithium, mass of manganese, mass of oxygen, add them together. You are going to get the mass of this compound, and you need to know how many electrons are involved. This is the cathode reaction taking place in lithium-ion batteries. LiMn2O4 loses one electron or loses one lithium, so involving one electron, complete one electron, leaving Mn2O4 as the discharged product or charged product. So how many electrons are involved in this compound or this cathode?
One.
1. So 1 into 26.8 divided by mass. Mass of this compound. Lithium is 6.9, manganese is 58, 54.9 into 2 plus 4 into 16. 6.9 plus 2 into 53 point, you can take 53 I think, or 55. 2 into 55 plus 4 into 16. How much? How much?
One.
Okay. Some number you are going to get. $180. Yes. 180 is the molecular mass of, yeah, 187. 180.7 is the molecular mass of LiMn2O4. Now all parameters are known. You should be able to get the theoretical capacity. How much? 152 or 157 or 147?
148.
148. Yes. 148 milliampere hour per gram is the theoretical capacity of LiMn2O4, which is used as a cathode in lithium-ion battery. You believe it or not, this compound is very much used in a commercial lithium-ion batteries. Several ventures are using with a limited theoretical capacity of 148 only. Similarly, if you estimate for LiCO2, how much it will be? Similarly, please estimate for LiCO2. Lithium. So assume that complete 1 mole of lithium is removed. So then becomes LiCO2 becomes Li plus 1 electron plus COO2, 1 electron involved. So then you need to know the mass of LiCO2. What is the mass of LiCO2? Lithium 6.9 plus cobalt 58 plus 2 into 62, 92 or 97.
97, sir.
Correct. Mass 7 or 96 plus 58, 72. 266, 32. Yeah, some number you will get. So my connection was lost. Okay, what is the mass of lithium cobalt oxide? Did anybody
97.
estimate? How much? 96 or 97?
97.8, sir.
97. Okay. So 1 into 26.8 divided by 97. How much?
276 milliampere.
276 milliampere hour per gram.
Milliampere per watt.
Yeah, so this is the theoretical capacity of lithium cobalt oxide cathode used in lithium ion battery. Commercially used. Commercially used. Whereas the theoretical capacity of lithium magnet LiMn2O4 is half of that. Half of that. But still it is used commercially. Still it is used. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So though the theoretical capacity of lithium cobalt oxide is 272 milliampere hour per gram, but the actual capacity is half of that, because in this compound you can remove maximum 50% of the lithium only. So this reduces the theoretical capacity itself of half of the original one. Because if you try to remove more than 50% of lithium from the lithium cobalt oxide, we will see later that its structure loses its stability. Structure loses its stability. Structure collapses. Stability of the electrode becomes very, very poor. You are not going to get long cycle life. So, maximum extraction of lithium that can be taken out from lithium cobalt oxide is 50% only. So, N becomes 0.5. So, then theoretical capacity of lithium cobalt oxide is regarded as 0.5 into 26.8 divided by 97.2 or 97.7. So this will work out half of 272. So half of 272 is how much? So 174 something like that. 174 milliampere hour per gram, something like that. Okay, so in all, so if you want to use any electrode as an electrode material for battery application, it should have high theoretical capacity. It should have high theoretical capacity. I think this much is enough for theoretical capacity. So what you need to know, what is the electrode, what is its atomic mass or molecular mass, how many electrons are involved in the electrochemical reaction during charging or discharging. Then use this standard equation. You should be able to get the theoretical capacity of any electrode. So theoretical capacity is very important, but practical capacity is much more important. Electrode may have a very large theoretical capacity, but if it is not able to provide the practical capacity, is of no use, isn't it? Okay, so just preaching is no use until the preacher practices. Okay, if anybody practicing ethics is of no use unless he practices. It's only preaching. Okay, so having merely high theoretical capacity is of no use. It is important that an electrode should have a high theoretical capacity, no doubt in that, but it should be able to provide practically. Then only that capacity can be used or usable capacity. Okay, so then capacity we know, theoretical capacity we know, the quantity of the electricity that is stored per gram. So then practical capacity is capacity that can be practically obtained from a per gram of the material, or the current that can be obtained in a given time from a given mass. Per gram of mass is known as practical capacity. This practical capacity is also known as discharge capacity. Practical capacity is also known as discharge capacity. But it is difficult to get the practical capacity, discharge capacity equal to that of the theoretical capacity. There are several reasons. There are several reasons why it is difficult to get the theoretical capacity practically. It is always less because it's not the only sole electrode used in in any battery system. Along with the electrode or electrode material, these are the components are used: binders, conducting particles, separators, electrolyte, current collectors, many things. All will have their associated resistances. The current that is being generated or the charge that is being generated are overcome or used to overcome the resistances offered by these components. After that only some current or the capacity the battery can or electrode can deliver. So did you get this point? Why practical capacity is always less than that of the theoretical capacity, or why it is not possible to get the theoretical capacity practically, or the discharge capacity is always less than that of the theoretical capacity? Because when you want to assemble a battery, so you need to make the electrode, anode, cathode. So usually these anode and cathodes are made from the powder materials, maybe except in the case of lithium foil or zinc foil. There you may not require. Otherwise, most of the anodes and cathodes are in the form of a powder. That powder has to be made in the form of an electrode using some binders. If the conductivity of the electrode is not that up to the marker, you need to add conducting particles. There are separators used in the battery, electrolytes, current collector, etc. All are associated with the resistances. So to overcome these resistances, the charges involved in the battery is used. So the rest only you are going to get the capacity. So it means that the discharge capacity or the practical capacity is always less than that of the theoretical capacity. And this also should be as close as the theoretical capacity. Okay, forget about that. It will never be equal to that of the theoretical capacity. But this number should be as high as possible, as close as theoretical capacity. It is demanded that any practical electrode that we want to use it for battery application should be able to deliver the discharge capacity or the practical capacity nearly to that of the theoretical capacity. And this can be easily calculated using this standard equation. Discharge capacity or practical capacity is equal to, or again C, or Cp you can take, or Cd you can take. Practical capacity or discharge capacity is equal to I into T divided by active mass. Unit is same. Unit is same as that of the theoretical capacity, milliampere hour per gram or ampere hour per gram. Or you can also talk about ampere hour per kg also. Same unit, ampere hour per gram or milliampere hour per gram. So standard equation is I into T divided by active mass. Here this is active mass, not the atomic mass or molecular mass. What is I? I is the current that is being delivered by the battery during the discharge. And T is the time of discharge, duration of the discharge. Usually it is taken in hours. Okay. So that's why unit becomes ampere hour. Active mass. What is active mass? Atomic mass we know, molecular mass we know. What is this active mass? Can anybody enlighten this? Say something, translate it.
The amount of material that are used for anode or cathode at the exact time.
This is the mass that is actually used for making the electrode reaction. When you make the electrode, you are making it from the powder. Usually some portion you have to take composition. Maybe in the case of fabrication, I will tell that. 80% of the material you have to take, and 15% of the conducting particle, 5% of the binder. This is the composition of the electrode mass. So the mass that is used for driving the electrochemical reactions, that is the active mass, not the atomic mass or molecular mass. I is the current, usually in ampere. T is time taken in hours, and if active mass in grams. I think we can estimate this numerical problem. You can take down this. A lithium cell has discharge time of 110 minutes at a current of 500 milliampere. Calculate the discharge capacity of the cell. The active mass of the electrode material is 8 milligrams only. Please take down and estimate. Use this formula, nothing else. You should be able to get this number, some number. Please try.
So 140 milliampere hour per gram.
Yes. All of you are getting this number? Yes, you should be. So first a minute has to be converted into hours. 110 divided by 60. So that's roughly about 2. Okay. So 0.5, so 500 milliampere. It's about not about 0.5 ampere. And mass is 8 milligram. You can straight away take 500 milliampere into 160 divided by 60 divided by 8 milligram. Milliampere will cancel out. It will become 500 into 110 divided by 60 in bracket divided by 8. How much? 148? All of
114.
some number you are getting. Okay. This is the discharge capacity. So it means that, so if the active material is 8 milligram, and if you are planning to discharge 500 milliampere from that current, it will give discharge time for about 110 minutes. The battery could be able to deliver discharge capacity of that much, 114 or whatever the number you have told. That's what. We will see that later. The battery can be discharged at a different C rate or different currents depending on the power required. Very important. So similar to the theoretical capacity, practical capacity or discharge capacity is also important for an electrode that need to be considered while developing a battery. So the practical capacity should be achieved equal to that of the theoretical capacity, and it can be estimated from the standard equation I into T divided by active mass. From how will you get this current and time? How will you get current and time? Mass, maybe no, you know, because you are applying, you are making the electrode, and you might be knowing. So you take a current collector, make the paste of the electrode, apply it, dry it, cure it, mass of the electrode. So you subtract the current collector mass and they take the mass of the rest, that is the active mass. How will you get current and time? So the next parameter is charging discharging curves or charge discharge profiles. Charging discharging curves and or charge discharge profiles. So I'm sure looking at this curve, you should be able to tell what battery it is. What battery it is? This charge discharge profile belongs to which battery type? Difficult? Lithium ion battery, because the voltage window is between 2.2 to 4.3 voltage during charging and discharging. It is mirror image. Charging discharging profile is nearly mirror image. If it is nearly mirror image, then comes another parameter, charge efficiency or charge acceptance or Coulombic efficiency should be as high as possible. What is charge efficiency, Coulombic efficiency, or charge acceptance? When you make a secondary battery, it is already in the discharged state. When you want to charge it, when you want to use it, you have to charge it. While charging, what you are doing? You are supplying charge or the energy to the battery. It picks up the charges from the grid or from any sources. It builds, okay? The material is converting back to its original state and builds the charges. And it is possible to quantify how much charge you have input during the charging. Similar to the charge that you can get during the discharging, you can also able to estimate how much charge you are going to input during the charging. Similar to the discharge capacity, you have a charge capacity. Correct? Okay. So let's say your input capacity is 100 milliampere hour per gram. Ideally, I should expect the battery should deliver 100 mAh during the discharging. Then we can estimate what is the efficiency of the battery and name it in terms of charge efficiency, Coulombic efficiency, or charge acceptance by taking the ratio of discharge capacity to that of charge capacity. Is the Coulombic efficiency or charge acceptance or charge efficiency. So if the discharge capacity is equal to that of the charge capacity, or output energy is equal to that of the input energy, then the efficiency of the battery is so good, 100%. So this can be obtained from this charging discharging profile. So we have seen theoretical curve like this previously here. This is only discharge curve. This is only discharge curve. What is it? It's a plot of voltage, battery voltage versus the time. Here I have given both charging and discharging. Charging and discharging. Charging and discharging. So in fact, I should plot, maybe I must be, yes, I have here like this. This is discharge and this is charging. Mirror image. We'll get perfect mirror image in the case of supercapacitors, especially EDLC. Highly efficient charge storage device, supercapacitor. How much charge you are inputting? You are going to input equal amount it is possible to estimate, get from the supercapacitor. Maybe in the case of battery, little less. And in the case of lithium-ion battery, it is so good, as high as 95%. But in the case of lead acid battery, so 20% you'll have to forget. Okay. So discharge profile or charge profile is nothing but battery voltage versus the time. Discharge profile or charge profile is the battery voltage during the discharging or during the charging. So this x-axis scale or time scale can be converted into different parameters. Here I have given charge, state of charge. It can be state of discharge also during the discharge. Or it can be converted into charge capacity during the charge. Or it can be converted into discharge capacity during the discharge. Because why? Capacity is nothing but current into time. You divide by the mass, you are going to get the specific capacity. So since you know the time, and this is a constant charging and discharging of the battery, so it means you know the constant current that is being input in the battery or that is being taken out from the battery. You multiply this x-axis or time scale, time axis by that current magnitude. If you are multiplying during the current that is being sent to the battery during the charging, it is going to be the charging capacity. If you are multiplying the current of the discharge during the discharge of the battery, so it's going to be the discharge capacity. So there is a minimum capacity, maximum capacity. So the total capacity the battery can deliver during the discharge, or the total capacity the battery picks up during the charging, can be obtained. Very important curve, this one. Lot of information you can get. Okay. So then you take the discharge capacity, divide by the charge capacity. So the ratio is known as Coulombic efficiency, or charge acceptance, or charge efficiency. It should be as high as possible. It should be 100% for an ideal battery. It means, so whatever you are supplying during the charging, you should be able to get it. But ideally, there are no such system. There is little decrease or variation in the Coulombic efficiency. So charging and discharging curve is very important. So are you with me? Shall we go ahead? Am I complicating? Simple?
No, sir.
We'll go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Another important characteristic of this charging and discharging curve is, you look up this charging and discharging pattern of the curve. So this is during, okay, you can come from the maybe discharge. The battery is completely charged up to 4.2 voltage. Okay. So battery is fully charged because there are no picking up the charge beyond this potential. So no use continuing the charging beyond this current, this potential. So the supply of the current is stopped for the battery. As soon as you remove the terminal, what happens? There is a drift in the discharge profile. This is due to internal resistance. We have already seen it. Internal resistance. It should have been ideally here, but there is a drift is due to internal resistance of the battery that is offered by the electrolyte as well. So then you have connected the load to the battery, charged battery. So this is typically a cylindrical cell, 9759156C type battery, having the capacity of 10,000 milliampere hour per gram. Okay, 10,000 milliampere hour. Very high capacity battery, cylindrical battery. Okay, so now to that cylindrical battery, a load is connected. So it will draw power, or it will draw current. Okay, so the voltage will decline. Voltage will decline. You please look at the pay the attention on the declining of the voltage. It is not sudden. So it means it could provide the current or the energy slowly. Okay, sloping. So then at the end of discharge, the voltage of the battery is too much sloping, too much varying, dynamic, very sharp. So from 3.7 to 2.7, 1 voltage is lost maybe within delivery of few capacities or few minutes. So if this is what I told you. So this x-axis, previously it was time. So now it can be translated into state of charge, state of discharge. Now I have given here capacity. You consider the red curve, it is a discharge capacity. You consider the green curve, it is charge capacity. There should not be any confusion because it is only one plot, voltage versus time. You multiply the time axis with the charging current, you get charge capacity. You multiply the discharge time with that of the discharge current, you get the discharge capacity. Okay, so I will tell you how to get the state of charge, state of discharge later. So now this x-axis time has been converted into capacity. So during charging capacity, during discharging capacity. At the end of discharging, there is sharp decrease in the voltage. Whereas until 3.7, it is very slow. This is characteristic of the battery. It is demanded. We call this type of curve as a plateau potential or plateau curve. Plateue. Plateau potentials or plateau curve. He has given to give the attendance. Venkat Bharati. Sharp declining the cell voltage, but very slow. This is characteristic. This is demanded. It means that so the battery could be able to deliver nearly constant voltage from let's say 4.1 voltage up to 3.7 voltage. Hardly how much millivolt? 300 400 millivolt only. But you see the discharge capacity could provide nearly 900 milliampere hour per gram capacity could be obtained at a constant delivery of the voltage. Very characteristic. We call this as a plateau potential or plateau curve or plateau profile. This is demanded for a battery, practical battery. Similarly, during the charging, nearly same potential you are getting. Plateau potential during charging. So then initially, so to overcome the internal resistance and all, so it picks up the current, then slowly picks up the charges and leads to the saturated potential. Okay. So charging curve and discharging curve, it is nearly mirror image. It should be a mirror image for an ideal system so that you get a high Coulombic efficiency or charge acceptance or charge efficiency. Let's consider the discharge curve. Let's consider the discharge curve. What is the maximum capacity it can deliver roughly? Looking at this curve. Or maybe let's take a blue curve, a green curve. This is voltage versus the charge capacity. Up to which potential it is charging? 4.2 voltage it is charging. What is the maximum capacity it picks up or the battery picked up? Roughly
11.
This is 10,000 mAh. This is 12,000 mAh. This is roughly mid. How much?
11,000 mAh.
Yes, 11,000 mAh. 11,000 mAh. That is the maximum. Beyond 11,000, I no need to have the scale, right? I can end at 11,000. Correct? Will you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
So if I divide that whole x-axis with 11,000 mAh and multiply with 100, what I am going to get? I am going to get percentage. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Correct? So the maximum capacity during discharging is 11,000 mAh. If I divide the whole axis, it's a number, right? It's number. You can divide. You can do it in Excel or in Origin or any other plotting software. Divide this whole axis by 11,100. Multiply with 100. I'm going to get percentage. So at this point, what percentage I'm going to get?
100%, sir.
100%. It means that, so it is 100% state of charge. Somewhere mid here. So if I point here, what is the percentage roughly I may have? 50%. Here, 0. State of charge, 100%. State of charge, 50%. state of charge 0%, or you pick up any potential and you should be able to tell what is the SOC. What is SOC? State of charge. State of charge. So this is one practical parameter. You can measure the SOC directly and tell what condition the battery is, whether the battery is usable condition or non-usable condition. If the SOC is 80%, it means that the battery is holding still 80% of the charge. Only 20% is discharged. If the SOC is 20%, the reverse. 80% of the capacity or the charge has been used in the battery, only 20% is remaining, you need to charge it. Very important parameter. So SOC 100% means battery is 100% charged condition. That's why it's as simple as that. So let's take discharge curve. So discharge curve is, what is discharge curve? It's a plot of voltage versus the discharge time. So how this curve is made? You need to apply a constant current, discharge the constant current from the battery, and record the potential voltage of the battery versus time. You have a constant current, maybe 10 ampere, 5 ampere, 10 milliampere, 500 milliampere, or any current, constant current. It is not variable current, constant current. So as the current is discharged by the battery, so the potential, the charge will be lost, because its charge is nothing but current, right? Current is taken out, charge is taken out, potential will decline slowly until 3.7. After that, sharply decreases and reaches nearly 2.8. This is the cutoff voltage you can have it. It's not possible to discharge lithium-ion battery beyond 2.8. In the worst case, not beyond 2.5 voltage. This itself will give you a very good high efficiency. Okay, so now what is the capacity? Roughly 10,000 mAh. Let's take 10,000 mAh. Yeah, so let's assume 10,000 mAh. 10,000 mAh. This is voltage. Now this axis is discharge capacity. What is the maximum discharge capacity I'm getting from this curve? Roughly 10,000 mAh. Yes, 10,000 mAh. So if I divide this whole axis by 10,000 mAh and multiply with 100, what I'm going to get?
Discharge percentage.
Percentage I'm going to get. What percentage I'm going to get? Depth of the discharge percentage. DOD. So at this, what percentage I'm going to get? 100%. 100%. DOD 100% means what?
Battery has no charge.
Battery has been completely discharged. And if you measure the discharged battery's potential, it would read about 2.5 or 2.7 in the case of lithium-ion battery. Maybe in the case of respective batteries, that potential will be there. So this is DOD 100%. This is roughly this point, maybe 3.7 or 3.8, roughly 50% DOD. So it means the battery's charge has been 50% removed, only 50% is removed. And this is DOD 100%, 0%. So battery is in fully charged condition. You see here, SOC and DOD are linked with 100. 0% DOD means SOC is 100%, or vice versa. Or if you know DOD, it is possible to estimate what is the SOC, or vice versa, and vice versa. So that's why to monitor the health of the battery, You can either measure DOD or SOC. And during charging and discharging, you have a plateau potentials. Very important. I think I have another figure. Yes. It is important that when you want to develop a battery system, the battery should be able to deliver a flat discharge curve. Very important. I have given here the the discharge profiles only of several batteries. What are the batteries you can name? You can identify lithium-ion battery, lead-acid battery, nickel-zinc battery, nickel-cadmium battery, nickel metal hydride battery, and zinc-carbon battery, or zinc manganese dioxide primary cell. And it is a discharge profile. Because why? The profiles are discharged. Voltage is declining, voltage is declining, voltage is decreasing. Among these, which discharge profile is very flat for long time?
Let us see.
Lead acid battery,
Nickel zinc.
Nickel
Cadmium, sir.
nickel cadmium, very flat. In the case of lead acid battery, it is dynamic, sloping. Zinc, sloping. Lithium ion, very much sloping. And at least from here to here, highly constant. Highly constant. Primary battery, it is sloping. Only very short time, it is constant supply of the potential or voltage. It is important that the battery should be able to deliver flat discharge profile. Flat discharge profile. So it means that the battery could be able to deliver constant supply of the voltage. Constant supply of the voltage is important for better functioning of or proper functioning of any consumer electronics. Whether your laptop or your camcorder or your smartphone or your remote controller or anything. If the voltage is fluctuating, what will happen? It will damage your consumer electronics, TV. You have a stabilizer anyway. So flat discharge curve is desirable. So it means constant supply of the potential or the voltage. Throughout the discharge, so the potential remains constant. So the consumer electronics will function properly. We also call this a flat discharge profile as a plateau potential or plateau curve. Plateau curve, constant potential. Very important. Nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride is so good. All others are also so good, but relatively, this nickel metal hydride, nickel cadmium batteries are so good, very good, very flat discharge profile. So I think I will stop now. We'll continue more in the next class. If anybody would like to add anything or make some clarification, suggestions, additions, you can do so. Okay, sir, the capacity mentioned in the battery label is a theoretical capacity or practical capacity. That is the capacity you can, rated capacity. They call it as a rated capacity. That much capacity is assured. It's not theoretical capacity. It's a rated capacity. That much capacity is assured if the battery is subjected to the designated C rate. So this is a new terminology I'm telling you, C rate. Maybe next class you will see. Depending on the C rate, the capacity will be different. The capacity that you see on the battery is is the rated capacity. That much capacity the battery could be able to deliver. This is primary cell. It is only voltage is given, capacity not given in this. Usually in the secondary batteries, most of the secondary batteries capacity is given. So in this, it's not given. I'm not able to see the capacity. Yeah, so anything else? Why are we getting only 50% capacity while 80% active mass? Only 20% reduction in the theoretical capacity. Parikshit, can you elaborate your question? Why are getting only 50% capacity while 80% active mass only 20? Anybody else can translate this question? So generally in UPS battery, you are asked to discharge 50% of the rated capacity for maintaining the health of the battery or maintaining the cycle life of the battery. It is programmed already with the battery management system. So that is the sizing of the battery. I think I have a numerical problem. I don't know this semester or next semester. There is a sizing of the battery for a given solar home. So last class also I told assume that a solar home is available which uses 2 light or 3 fan and 3 fans, maybe a TV set. How much energy is required? Maybe for functioning of such home continuously for 3 days without battery. And if it has to be powered by the battery, how much is the size of the battery? So when you size the battery, when you estimate the capacity or the energy density of the battery, you estimate 50% excess of the requirement, so that battery's health is maintained. If you install the battery with the actual energy requirement, you lose the cycle life of the battery. You'll have to frequently replace the battery. So that's why. So it is 50% of the 80% depth of discharge. Actually, you will be using only 40% of the capacity of the original battery capacity in a real UPS battery. So that's why it could prolong the life of the battery. Okay, so can we use semiconductor as an electrode? Whether it is a semiconductor or insulator or metal, it should undergo redox reaction. It should undergo redox reaction. Silicon is a semiconductor. It's going to be an electrode for lithium-ion battery in future. Okay, silicon is a semiconductor. So most of the oxides are semiconductors, if not insulators. Alkali earth metals and alkali metal oxides are insulators, whereas nickel oxide, cobalt oxide, copper oxide, zinc oxide, titanium oxide, manganese oxide, all these oxides are in semiconductors. They all serving as an electrode. Yes, very much usable.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, anything else? Very much semiconductor can be used. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.